Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and today I'm creating a video in response to a request I received on an older video that talked about different types of journals, how they're bound differently, and which ones you might prefer when you're using a planner or a journal for the year. And so someone asked about, well, how do you decide what the best style is for different courses that you're taking? So if you're taking a chemistry course versus a history course versus an English course, etc. And so I thought, it might be helpful to have a video where it really depends on what's happening in the course versus what type of course it is. And so I just want to do a quick response here since it was requested and talk about some ideas of how you might decide what style of the three to choose. And so just kind of to clarify, so you have the bound notebook, right? So completely bound, you open it up, right? There's no way of moving pages or anything like that. Bound. And then you have disc bound. So in this case, obviously you have the disc. And what I love these. This is my favorite because you can then just take it off, move it onto somewhere else, and then add it back on so you can reorganize. And then there's the ring bound. I don't have one with me as an example, but it's the usual ring, right? It opens up. You put a loosey paper, it closes. So you can move things around there as well, but you do have to open the rings, take out the paper, close the rings, move it somewhere, open, put it in. Differently in a disc, which is just, again, taking it off the disc and then putting it back on. So those are the three types, right? And so you asked about how do you decide which one to choose for different courses? And I think it's more of how much flexibility is needed in the notes that you're taking for that particular course. So what I mean by that? So for example, if you're someone and this course is a course where you're just taking notes and it's just start to finish. Like you're not gonna have to move things around. There's not strong scaffolding throughout the course where all the assignments connect really strongly together. They're like part one, part two, part three. It's just different assignments that aren't really interconnected. And again, the notes don't really connect throughout the weeks. It's very separate. I think just having a regular bound notebook is totally fine for that because you can just start and keep going. You don't have to worry about moving things around because it's not super interconnected. And I think bound are great because you're less likely to lose the pages, right? So things come off, right? Or rip off the rings. This is very hardy in that sense of everything will be here for you. If you want, you can use a bullet journal style approach to it where the first few pages are an index. And so you can have where you're numbering your pages and you can say in the index, okay, pages 1 to 3 is week 1 notes, 4 to 7 is week 2 notes, 8 to 10 is notes about the first assignment, 11 to 12, and so on. And so you could have that table of content at the front in this bound version. Can be very helpful because you can just use it as a resource. Okay, I need to look at the week 3 notes for some reason. Oh, that's starting on page 7. You go and you're ready to go. So I do think when you have less need for flexibility, bound can be great because, again, pages are less likely to get lost or to rip out of the journal or notebook. That's something to consider for the bound ones. Now, for the disc bound, right? This I would recommend if the course requires a lot of flexibility in how you're taking notes and, making sure that you're on track. Because if you have 3 major assignments and it's part 1, part 2, part 3 of a larger project, then you might find you're taking notes in the part 1 for the part 1 assignment, and then 5 weeks later, you're in the part 3 assignment, and notes from the beginning are now really, really relevant again. Well, great. You can open up to that page, take it out, go to where you're at now, and add it back in. Really easy. And now it's ready for you to use in this next portion of the class, right? So if you have high need flexibility, I recommend the disc bound with the caveat, right? So why disc bound and not ring? Ring also has a lot of flexibility. It's just a little more tedious having to open and close, right? All the time. But if your notes need to be turned in, right? If the recommendation is loose leaf paper is being used a lot, you're getting quizzes that are done by hand, you're doing notes and turning it in, then I recommend the ring instead because in that case, it's more standard, right? Like you don't have to worry about the disc bound. The paper is very different from ring binders. And so if you know, like, okay, like I'm going to be turning in quizzes and getting them back, turning in notes, getting them back, I recommend the ring binder, because in that case, you just have all your loose leaf paper in the ring binder, and again, you can move it around as needed. But in that case, I recommend that, because if potentially you're turning things in or your instructor is giving you loose leaf paper, converting that into disc bound is complicated, right? Versus if it's a ring binder, super easy to just add in wherever it's needed or have a section for the quizzes in the back, whatever the case may be. So if your class is very loose leaf paper dependent, definitely recommend the ring binder instead. Even if you have that first aspect of like it's very front to back, there's not that much interconnection, you don't need the flexibility. If it's still loose leaf heavy, might as well use a ring binder as well. So that's kind of like my first thought on how to decide between the three types, right? So usually I like the disc bound. I use it all the time, but there are moments when I think the other two can be useful, and that's the key elements of when I think it's the most useful, right? So hopefully you found this helpful. I do think it kind of translates into teaching as well. I know this is more of a student perspective type of video, but I think for the teacher as well, if you're trying to decide what notebook to keep for tracking your notes as you are teaching, I think if you're someone who's teaching the same course year after year after year, you probably don't need that much flexibility in your journal style. But if you're teaching new courses every semester, then I recommend something more flexible, like a ring or disc bound journal, because you can move things around and like see like what connections you have between courses that are not obvious at first glance, but when you reflect, you do see connections. That means you can move things around very easily. So I do recommend the disc bound or the ring bound if you're someone who's teaching a lot of different courses, versus, again, if you're someone who's just teaching the same course over and over again year after year, then having a regular bound journal might be helpful, because it's just kind of tracking your reflection, but you don't need to move things around at all. So I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for requesting it. If you ever want to make a request on the video, just put it in the comments and I'll make sure to check that out and make it whenever I can. So if you found this video helpful, click like, subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future content, and I'll see you next time.